No ancient Israel, a prophet was taken to the heavens in a chariot of fire, in a whirlwind. One of the most spectacular accounts in the Bible challenges our understanding. Was the chariot of fire a literal divine manifestation or an extraordinary natural phenomenon, like a meteor or ball lightning, interpreted through the lens of faith? The biblical narrative of Elijah's ascension to heaven is, without a doubt, one of the most enigmatic and visually striking episodes in the Old Testament. Recorded in 2 Kings, chapter 2, verses 1 to 18, it serves as the cornerstone of our central theme, delving into the depths of a mystery that has captivated human imagination for millennia. The text describes Elijah, a powerful and zealous prophet, walking with his disciple and successor, Elisha, when, suddenly, something extraordinary happens. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. This account is fundamental for several reasons. Firstly, it is unique in the Hebrew Bible, as Elijah does not die in the traditional sense, but is taken up or carried by a divine manifestation. The image of the chariot of fire and horses of fire is vivid and powerful, evoking a supernatural presence and a spectacular transition to another dimension. The mention of a whirlwind adds an element of atmospheric phenomenon, suggesting a large-scale, impactful event. The disciples of the prophets, who were observing from a distance, also witnessed the event, though not with the same clarity as Elisha, which validates the perception of an extraordinary and visible occurrence. The origin of this account is rooted in Israel's prophetic tradition, where Elijah was revered as one of the greatest prophets, a fervent defender of monotheism in times of apostasy. His life was marked by miraculous feats, including the resurrection of a boy and the confrontation with the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, where fire descended from heaven. Elijah's ascension, therefore, is not an isolated event but the climax of a life dedicated to divine service, punctuating a transition of prophetic power to Elisha. Beyond the theological interpretation, the description of the event in 2 Kings raises questions that intrigue the modern mind. What exactly was this chariot of fire? Is the language used literal or metaphorical? The mention of fire and the whirlwind, combined with the sudden ascent into heaven, has opened doors for scientific speculation that seeks parallels with rare and intense natural phenomena. The relevance of this central theme lies in the fascinating tension between faith, which accepts the event as an unquestionable miracle, and science, which seeks rational and natural explanations for seemingly inexplicable observations. This duality is the driving force of our investigation, which attempts to uncover whether Elijah's account could, in some way, be describing an extraordinary astronomical or meteorological event, interpreted through the worldview of the time. Human history is punctuated by accounts of extraordinary celestial and atmospheric events, often interpreted by ancient cultures as divine omens, interventions by gods, or manifestations of supernatural forces. Even before the emergence of astronomy and meteorology as formal sciences, our ancestors observed the firmament with reverence and awe, attributing profound meanings to any luminous anomaly or energetic phenomenon in the sky. These early manifestations of light and energy serve as examples and potential parallels for what may have been witnessed in Elijah's ascension. One of the most spectacular phenomena commonly mistaken for divine signs are meteorites and, in particular, bolides, exceptionally bright meteors that penetrate Earth's atmosphere. When a bolide enters the atmosphere at high speed, friction with the air generates intense heat, causing the object to incandesce and leave a luminous, sometimes fragmented, trail that can be perceived as a fireball or a flaming chariot streaking across the sky. The color of the trail can vary from shades of orange and red to green and blue, depending on the chemical composition of the meteor and the atmosphere. The disintegration of a larger meteor can be accompanied by powerful sonic booms and even ground vibrations, which would easily be interpreted as the arrival or departure of a powerful entity. There are numerous historical accounts of meteors, from ancient Chinese texts to medieval European chronicles, describing them as fire dragons or celestial chariots. Another intriguing phenomenon is ball lightning. This is a rare and still not fully understood atmospheric, electrical phenomenon that manifests as a floating luminous sphere which can vary in size, color, and duration. Ball lightning can move erratically or deliberately, rotate, and sometimes disappear silently or with a slight pop. Although its exact formation is debated, its luminous nature and unpredictable movement could easily be interpreted by ancient observers as a chariot of fire or a celestial entity. Modern accounts of ball lightning sightings often describe them as bright spheres of light or flaming orbs. In addition to these, we have more common but equally impressive phenomena, such as columnar lightning or upward lightning, which can occur during severe storms, where the electrical energy is so intense that it forms columns of light extending upwards. Atmospheric plasma phenomena in general, though rare, can create luminous and energetic formations that defy immediate explanation. The importance of these examples lies in their ability to bring to life the central theme. They illustrate how the observation of powerful and unusual natural events in a pre-scientific era was intrinsically linked to the religious and spiritual worldview. An event like Elijah's, with its description of fire, speed, and ascension, finds visual and auditory parallels in these natural phenomena, suggesting that the interpretation of a chariot of fire may have been the available language to describe something that, in the eyes of that time, was indeed extraordinary and divine. To deepen our understanding of Elijah's ascension, it is essential to explore the underlying laws, patterns, and mechanisms that govern igneous phenomena and the behavior of celestial objects in our atmosphere. Physics offers us a framework to analyze the properties of light, heat, motion, and energy that could have been perceived as a chariot of fire. By detailing the internal workings of these phenomena, we can visualize how they operate and what their implicit rules are. Let's first consider the meteoric phenomenon. A meteor, or shooting star, is the visible light generated by the entry of a meteoroid into Earth's atmosphere. The entry speed can be astonishing, ranging from 11 kilometers per second to 72 kilometers per second. At this speed, friction with air molecules generates such intense heat that the meteoroid and the air around it are ionized, creating a glowing plasma trail. This trail is what we see as the fireball. The color of this trail depends on the chemical composition of the meteoroid and the ionized gases in the atmosphere. A meteor rich in iron and nickel can produce green-blue light, while one rich in sodium can have orange hues. Larger meteors, called bolides, can shine brighter than the full moon and even explode in the air, fragmenting and generating multiple luminous trails. The energy released can be equivalent to several tons of TNT, creating powerful sonic booms that travel to the ground, perceived as distant thunder or an explosion. The trajectory of a bolide is generally downward, but an observer's perspective can make it appear to ascend on the horizon. In contrast, ball lightning presents a much more mysterious physics. Although there is still no unified theory, the most accepted one involves plasma. Normal lightning ionizes the air, creating a plasma channel. Ball lightning could be a form of long-lived plasma, confined by electromagnetic fields generated by the sphere itself or by air vortices. Another theory suggests that the discharge of lightning into certain types of soil vaporizes the material, which then recombines in the air as incandescent silicon nanoparticles. The size, color, and erratic behavior, floating, moving against the wind, passing through objects, and disappearing silently or with a pop, are observed characteristics. These luminous spheres, which can emit heat, are generated during intense electrical storms. The physics behind these phenomena shows that luminous and fast-moving objects can have a natural origin, and their perception can be influenced by the culture and knowledge of the time. The description of chariot of fire and horses of fire may be the attempt of ancient observers to describe a spectacular and, to them, inexplicable phenomenon with the language and understanding available. Focusing on the specific nature of the chariot of fire that took Elijah is the core of our detailed analysis, dissecting the nuances of scientific theories that seek a natural explanation for this extraordinary event. The biblical description is powerful and evocative. A flaming vehicle with fiery horses that bursts forth, separates Elijah and Elisha, and takes the prophet to heaven in a whirlwind. This image, so rich in divine symbolism, also carries elements that can be analyzed through the lens of natural phenomena. The first and most discussed theory is that of a meteorite or bolide. If a meteor of considerable size were to enter Earth's atmosphere over the region of Bethel and Jericho, locations associated with Elijah's ascension, it would create an intense light spectacle. Atmospheric friction at hypersonic speeds causes the rocky body and the surrounding air to incandesce, generating a plasma trail that can be perceived as a chariot of fire. The color of the plasma varies according to the meteor's composition and the ionized atmospheric gases, potentially taking on shades of red, orange, or even blue-green, directly evoking the idea of fire. In addition to the visual brilliance, the entry of a bolide is usually accompanied by deafening sonic booms caused by the shockwave, which would be audible for miles and could be interpreted as the thundering of horses or the sound of a powerful chariot. If the meteor were to fragment, multiple horses of fire or chariots could be visualized. The ascent to heaven might be a matter of perspective, a meteor moving horizontally in an observer's field of vision or moving away could appear to ascend before disappearing on the horizon or burning up completely. The second theory, ball lightning, offers an explanation for the compact and seemingly controllable nature of the chariot of fire. Ball lightning are rare and still poorly understood atmospheric electrical phenomena that manifest as floating luminous spheres, ranging from a few centimeters to several meters in diameter. They can exhibit various colors and erratic movements, sometimes hovering, rotating, or moving in a straight line, and may emit a hum or hiss. The description of a sphere of light that separates the two men and takes Elijah could be a manifestation of ball lightning moving in a way that seemed to interact with the environment and the prophet. While Elijah's complete ascent by ball lightning is more difficult to reconcile with the scale of the biblical event, the presence of such a phenomenon could have been part of the flaming chariot or cloud of fire that enveloped him. A third, more comprehensive possibility involves atmospheric plasma phenomena in general. Intense electrical storms can generate complex, columnar plasma discharges that rise, or amplified St. Elmo's fire phenomena, where ionized air produces visible light in pointed structures. An atmospheric vortex, accompanied by intense electrical activity, could create a luminous and turbulent whirlwind that would envelop the prophet in a visible energy field, giving the impression of a celestial dragging. The biblical text's language of whirlwind is a key point here, suggesting a phenomenon of circulating wind and energy. As we dissect these nuances, we realize that ancient language rich in imagination and symbolism may have been the only available means to describe a natural event that was in the eyes of observers at the time of such extreme magnitude and rarity that it could only be attributed to divine intervention. The choice of the words chariot of fire and horses of fire may have been a culturally understandable analogy to describe intense brightness, rapid movement, and the presence of overwhelming energy. The narrative of Elijah's flight, with its vivid description of a chariot of fire and the whirlwind carrying him to the heavens, continues to resonate with surprising force in the modern era, connecting to contemporary and future contexts in ways its original authors could never have foreseen. The proliferation of information, scientific curiosity, and technological advancement have allowed us to re-examine ancient descriptions through new lenses, linking them to phenomena that still defy our full understanding, such as unidentified anomalous phenomena and complex manifestations of atmospheric plasma. Firstly, the description of a luminous and maneuverable object in the sky, which seemingly interacts with terrestrial reality, finds remarkable parallels with accounts of UAPs. While most UAP sightings can be explained by natural phenomena, a portion remains conventionally unexplained. Eyewitness accounts frequently describe objects with characteristics resembling the chariot of fire: extreme speed, abrupt changes in direction, emission of intense light, absence of sound or unusual sounds, and the ability to disappear suddenly. Elijah's ascension, interpreted as the observation of a UAP, would be in ancient culture as attempt to describe something technologically incomprehensible through its own worldview, a chariot pulled by horses of fire. This perspective does not seek to demystify the event, but rather to contextualize it within a framework of phenomena that, even today, intrigue science. Secondly, the advancement of plasma physics and high energy meteorology allows us to explore more sophisticated scenarios for the whirlwind and the chariot of fire. Beyond ball lightning, which remains a mystery, researchers have investigated the possibility of large-scale atmospheric plasma phenomena. These could be generated by extreme electrical conditions in the atmosphere, perhaps in conjunction with air vortices. A highly charged and luminous plasma vortex could create the illusion of a chariot or vehicle of intense light and rapid movement. The high energies involved could ionize the surrounding air, producing the horses of fire or luminous halos. The idea that Elijah was taken by a powerful yet exceptionally visible natural electromagnetic vortex is not so far-fetched for modern physics, although it is extremely rare. Such phenomena could, in fact, generate a force field or an updraft capable of lifting objects or people for a short period. The broader implications of Elijah's flight for the contemporary context are profound. It serves as a vivid reminder of our limited perception in the face of unusual phenomena and how cultures construct narratives to make sense of the inexplicable. In an age dominated by science and technology, we still encounter events that defy our categorization. Elijah's account invites us to maintain an open mind, to question, and to seek understanding, whether through faith, science, or the fusion of both. It suggests that perhaps miraculous events of the past may have roots in rare and powerful natural phenomena that, in the absence of a scientific explanation, were inevitably interpreted as divine. The story of Elijah thus transcends time, serving as an echo of our eternal quest for meaning in the universe. The account of Elijah's ascension, with its chariot of fire and whirlwind carrying him to the heavens, is not merely a singular event in ancient texts, but a powerful catalyst for a profound reflection on the limits of human understanding and the vastness of nature. It forces us to confront the dichotomy between the inexplicable miracle and the rational scientific explanation, and to consider how our perception shapes the reality we experience. Science, with its rigorous methodology and relentless pursuit of causality, strives to map the laws that govern the universe. By proposing that the chariot of fire could have been a bolide, ball lightning, or an atmospheric plasma phenomenon, we are applying our logic and accumulated knowledge to find parallels and possible explanations within the framework of natural laws. These theories, while not provable for an event millennia ago, offer a path to understanding how the event may have visually and audibly manifested to the observers of the time. The biblical description of fire, speed, and ascending movement resonates with the characteristics of these celestial and atmospheric phenomena, which are undoubtedly spectacular. However, Even if science can offer a convincing how, Elijah's account remains a challenge to our complete understanding. What science cannot explain, or does not propose to explain, is the why or the purpose behind the event. Why Elijah, and not another prophet, was the subject of this unique ascension. What guided the phenomenon, if it was natural, to occur at that precise location and moment, in front of witnesses like Elisha? The idea of divine synchronicity, where a natural phenomenon is used by a greater force for a specific purpose, is where faith and science can, paradoxically, find a point of dialogue. It is not about proving faith through science, but about recognizing that creation can be so complex and wonderful that its very mechanisms can be interpreted as miraculous. What Elijah's event reveals about human perception is its inherent limitation in the face of the unusual. In a pre-scientific era, without the vocabulary or concepts of meteorology, astronomy, or plasma physics, a bright, noisy, and fast-moving event in the sky would inevitably be interpreted through the lens of the cosmology and spirituality of the time. A chariot of fire was a culturally understandable analogy for a phenomenon of power and divine ascension. Human language always seeks to fill the gaps of the unknown with the familiar. The comprehensive nature of the cosmos, in turn, reminds us of our insignificance in the face of its vastness and complexity. With each new scientific discovery, we realize that the universe is even stranger and more wonderful than we imagined. Phenomena like ball lightning, which still defy a complete explanation, are a testament that there are aspects of reality that transcend our current knowledge. Elijah and his chariot of fire are a poetic reminder that reality is much richer than our ability to measure or explain it. It invites us to keep an open mind, to embrace both rational inquiry and awe for the inexplicable, and to recognize that, on the grand stage of the universe, what seems miraculous to us today may simply be an as yet ununderstood aspect of the cosmic dance. Was Elijah's flight an undeniable divine miracle, or a spectacular natural phenomenon, like a meteor or ball lightning, interpreted by the faith of the time? The mystery persists, inviting us to reflect on the intersection between what we believe and what we can explain.